Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. You have reached the Occasional Podcast, Season 14, Episode 4, Expona 2026 coverage, the big show, the big U.S. show. And for the big U.S. show, we created a whole bunch of songs to kind of accompany our video. And if you listen to the podcast regularly, we also create songs for the podcast. And we had one that kind of was a viral hit this year. So when selecting amongst the songs, I wasn't really sure which one would be the best. I just put them all out there, and one rose to the top like cream. So here's a snippet from that song. And after the song, Mark and Brian give you the hits and the highlights and all the good stuff from the Chicago-based Schaumburg Convention Center.
Expona 2026.
Hey, Mark.
How are you doing?
Mark and Brian back again. Yeah, so you got Mark and Brian back again, and this time we're at Expona 2026, and it's been a thing. Mark, tell me first impressions, and then I'll go.
Oh, so anyways, Expona is a big, busy show. I'm always hesitant to do it because I always know it's going to kick my butt because it's this year 220 rooms.
Yeah.
And it has been more crowded than I've ever seen Expona. It's the biggest show in the United States. And it seems like there's twice as many people as there's been any other year in the last 5 years. And every room is full. Yesterday was Friday.
Yeah.
And it was busy like a Saturday.
Yep.
And today it's been an unproductive day because every room is full. But that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it was the biggest Friday I've ever seen. It was you said it exactly right. Friday felt like a Saturday. I was like, this is a legit Saturday, even for Expona. Friday was so packed. And then Saturday, it just like bedlam broke out across the thing. It was just madness, dude.
And it is the typical thing where at a audio show where there are elevator issues. So it's a long line at the elevator. So you kind of have to. It takes a while to go from one place to the other. And I feel like we're bashing it because Expona is such a great thing in our industry that we don't want to appear to be complaining, but it's busy.
It's busy. But I will say on the elevator front, the stairwells do work, and they have a system, which is not always the case, to get from the main level up. Because sometimes, the stairwells, they just dump out to the street. So you come down and you're like, I'm outside. I wanted to be inside, right? This place isn't that way. You can get up and down through the stairwells, but it's just like really packed. And it's a great day for business. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to complain because we're just, I'm just an old guy who's just schlepping up the hall. And
you have a good point. Maybe one of these shows we could get you like a little... someone to help you by carrying around a backpack like R2-D2 and C-3PO.
I would love
Chewbacca.
that. I would love that. Well, robots.
Chewbacca, yeah.
We'll have to talk to Elon.
Yeah. Robot legs to get me up and down the stairwell. That's all I ask. Small ask. Robot legs for up and down the stairwell.
How about a robot easy chair? Like a lazy boy recliner that's a robot, and you just sit in it, and you got a control panel, and it'll take you everywhere. Well, that sounds like WALL-E.
I was getting WALL-E.
That's WALL-E. Yeah. Okay. Disney did it.
Today's episode of the Occasional Podcast is sponsored by Border Patrol Audio Electronics, makers of the 300B tube amplifiers and the non-oversampling DACs. Hand-built in Virginia, USA, each Border Patrol product enjoys the benefit of owner Gary Dew's more than 35 years in the audio industry. Border Patrol's latest product, the Zola DAC, continues the brand's reputation for crafting natural and organic sounding DACs and promises refined, musical, fatigue-free listening for hours on end. Find out more at borderpatrol.net. That's www BORDERPATROL.net. I will say about this show, and I think this is probably my biggest observation to take away with, given the situation developing in Europe with the European shows.
Yes, everybody's talking about that.
It feels like more international here this year. I'm seeing more international people, a little more international, yada, 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 all around than the usual. So I don't know if those two things are related, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were.
If AXPONA becomes the new Munich.
Right.
That
essentially.
Would be, well, I mean, Munich, before that, it was CES in Vegas, and that was the big show, and that was international. And then when they stopped catering to the high-end audio, the specialty audio, all of a sudden Munich became the show. And it's been huge, and now, of course, we're going to Vienna, and that's in, 5 weeks?
Yep.
5 or 6 weeks. And that's what everybody's talking about right now at this show in Chicago is about what's going to happen in Vienna. Is it going to last there? A lot of people are talking about it's more expensive in Vienna than it is in Munich, obviously. But we'll see. I'm going. I'll be the only one from PTA attending it, so I'll be kind of the guinea pig. The canary in the coal mine to see how it goes. And so hopefully it's a good thing. I mean, I enjoy going to Munich every year. I didn't get to go last year. But I hope they work out something and it becomes the success it was. I mean, I've heard right now that they're about 30% down from Munich. But 30% down from Munich is bigger than AXPONA still. So it's I'm going to be there by myself. Fortunately, nobody knows me there, so I can kind of get around without being stopped every 5 feet. People don't know me there. And I could be very productive at Munich. Yeah. Not so much here.
I will say there is an element of fandom that's, I think, really beautiful and really fun at this show. So I've had a chance to walk around with some of our other more front-facing friends, familiar faces that do a lot of video on YouTube and just have their face more than Mark and I. We don't splash our faces like a lot in the photos and all that, So there's been a lot of like really fun celebration of audio and its personalities that I was like, whoa, this is like crazy. These people are so happy to be here and see these people and treat them like real celebrities, and that's so fun. And I had a chance to do a live podcast that's probably already up at Expona with two of my favorite guys from the show, Steve Guttenberg and Andrew Jones, graced the stage with me. So we did a live recording on the stage, and like those guys had like some really big fans.
Andrew Jones is hilarious.
Yeah.
Steve Guttenberg is also, when he starts talking about his old projectionist days, those are good stories. So.
Yeah. So that was really fun, and the seminars have been good. I ran into Sean Olive in the hallway. We had a really good talk. He was here. As you guys know, he helped develop the Harman curve, and he's pretty active in the space. He does a lot of headphone seminars, but he did the other keynote. So we were the keynote on Friday, and he was the keynote on Saturday. So it's good to get him out to Chicago, and he seemed like he was in a good space. So that was really fun to see him. The last thing that was an out and about thing is I ran into a guy who was wearing the shirt that has this supposed Alan Parsons quote. Musicians listen to their gear for the music. Audiophiles listen to the music for the gear, right?
Right.
I want to point out I'm not sure that it's been confirmed that Alan Parsons even actually said that. It's just attributed to him.
Right.
So guy's wearing the shirt. And so I'm thinking, what are you trying to say when you wear that shirt? Because it's almost kind of, like teasing the idea of the gear worship. And if you're truly in this hobby for the music, I love you. If you're truly in this because you just love tech and gear, that's also cool. I love both those things. It's not a problem for me, like the quote presents it to me. It's not a problem if you love the gear.
It's not neither or.
Yeah.
Either or.
It makes something.
It's best to do a nice balance of both.
Yeah. It's not a binary thing like that quote tries to make it, right? So that's the takeaway.
Exactly.
So, but I was also confused, like, it seemed like, why are you wearing this quote on your shirt at a show? So I asked him, I said, which one are you? I said, do you love the gear or do you love the music? And he was very clear. He was very happy that I stopped him and talked to him. And he was like, it's for the music, man. I'm like, oh, cool. I was just checking because, like, you
Yeah.
can go either way, right? Or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah.
Or
no,
can
no,
it not
no.
go either
Well,
way?
I mean, I always like to say that I'm not really an audiophile. I am. Music got me into it. It was, a childhood full of music growing up in Southern California in the 70s, where I had older siblings and they were listening to everything. And so when I was a little kid, I was listening to what was happening in the late 60s, early 70s, because it was happening in my house. That's part of me. So the music brought me, I mean, I had a sound design BSR changer, and that was my first stereo with headphones, with Sennheiser HD414 headphones, the ones with the yellow ear pads.
Oh, yeah.
Up until I was about 15 when I bought my first HiFi. But that was it for me, and that got me everything, and then that's where I am today.
I really want to start with first floor. We have different ways of organizing these little show recaps, but this time around, we can work from the ground up. But generally speaking, the first floor has a lot of the big rooms and big gear.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And we'll say, for the context here, it's like really two floors. The first floor by the lobby, and then the second floor with the higher ceiling off to the side. All right. So Scott Hall, the proprietor of PT Audio and PartTimeAudiophile, and I were able to walk around. I did that leg with him, and there was what would be best described as a Back to the Future sized subwoofer.
Yes, I saw it. Was it 60 inch?
60 inch. How tall would you say it was? It was like...
That's a 5 foot. That's, 60 is 5 feet. So
that's just the driver. The cabinet was taller than 6 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was taller than people.
And I thought it was fake. And I walk up and I'm like, oh no.
Nope.
This thing is fucking moving. It's real.
It goes from 6 to 9 hertz.
Is that what he said?
You're
just joking.
When they're that big,
real, dude.
Yeah, you can't cross over that thing up to 250, or it would just, I don't know. I don't know what would happen, but it wouldn't be pretty.
I think actually I did read in their literature it opens up a black hole to an alternate universe, a wormhole.
Or the gates of hell. I tend to find the gates of hell as opposed to some kind of beautiful gateway into, Stargate? SG?
Stargate, yeah. Adjacent to that, however, was a room that always shines, in my opinion. Joseph Audio.
Oh, hell yeah. That was
with the Doshi, was it this time around? Do you remember? I think
well, he has the same brands,
yeah.
And nobody takes control of a room because they achieve the same level of sound at every show, different sized rooms, and it's always that true sound. It's Joseph Audio, it's Doshi, it's Arender, it's Cardis, and lately joined by Jay Sakura and the ATIS cartridges. And so the turntable Sakura was the big, giant reference, because it was big.
Yeah.
And it had the Mammoth Gold on it, the ATIS Mammoth Gold cartridge, which is made from a mammoth tusk. And I'm reviewing an ATIS cartridge right now, the Durawood B, which is multicolored. It's kind of crazy looking. But, man, those are good cartridges. They're just great. And Jay Sakura are great turntables. They have that Aspire, the new Aspire that I've heard a couple times now, 10,800 with ARM. And it is simply sensational turntable for that. If you're asking me, what's the best turntable for $10,000? That's it, I think.
He was playing it loud, but it sounded really good. It always sounds good in there. And like you said, consistency for that guy. It's all about consistency and consistently good. So, yeah, he plays at high volumes. For the size, even the best. But, man, a great room. And then right down the road from there, a little audio group Denmark. We mention them every show. They're at every show. Great guys running the group. With Next Level HiFi, they partnered with.
That's their Chicago dealer, the biggest dealer in the country.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that sponsor them at almost every show. And so because they do such a great job with the brand. And they actually did you notice that they had a second room with actually other brands in it?
Yes, I did.
I was like, wait
Heresy.
a minute. It was a new speaker company called SV Audio, and it's actually pretty affordable speakers. Sounded really nice. They had Macintosh, a lot of sources and amplification. It was a really good sound. It was very powerful, great bass. And so it's kind of weird to go into that little corner in the Expona, which they kind of own, and then there's Luxman and stuff in there. But it was just interesting to walk into a next level room and not see the typical Audio Group Denmark stuff. And what's amazing, too, is that Audio Group Denmark, whenever they are in a room, they always have that big backdrop behind. It's very light and bright and colorful, and it's actually a scene of it's in Aalborg where the company is, and I've actually stood on that bridge and looked at that view. So this time, though, It almost looked like it was the same guy did it, but it was the Chicago skyline.
Oh, they changed it up. I didn't know that.
Changed it up and it looked great. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to another great backdrop for the room. Not that I was getting tired of looking at the Aalborg scene, especially since I'd seen it, but it was just neat.
They also, I want to highlight this because I think it's kind of unusual. I don't normally plug this, but Next Level HiFi is doing a giveaway. And it's for a Boris impaired speakers. But get this, guys, the reason I'm bringing it up, it's $17,500.
Yeah, it's
model.
the C1s. I'm in line to review those as soon as I can get through what I've got. C1s. I mean, it's a two-way. You guys know that I love two-way bookshelves. The C1 is really amazing. I mean, there's always the M1 for $100,000, but for $18,000, I bet you it gets you close to what the M1 does.
And this one's free if you win it. So that's a bonus.
I saw that and I said, I'm going to enter.
I like. So
I think we're disqualified.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are. But to enter to win, you can just go to their website. But basically, they want to try to get some YouTube viewers. So Next Level is the sponsor, and you join their YouTube page, and then go to their website and fill out their registration things. I think it's just an email and following them on YouTube, and you can get registered to win $17,500. And I say, maybe just try. Don't let us win it. Don't let Mark win it. He's going to go do it like 100 times.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it under fake names. I love those speakers are really amazing.
And then I think, if my memory serves me, another show favorite next down the line, I'm going to guess it was VAC and Acora. I didn't spend as much time with Acora, but I am getting very, very familiar with this VAC new integrated KT88 tubes. A little less than 20 grand, but quite a bit of power. I think it's almost 85 watts.
Are you talking about one? It's 172 I or Q or whatever.
I don't remember the model number, but it's brand new.
Brand new.
And it's you heard the price point. It's got some serious push for a tube amplifier, and it's new and it's fun. He's been working on it for a while, and he finally finalized the chassis and the final aesthetic accoutrement, and so it's ready to go.
VAC is Kevin Hayes of VAC. He's got a lot of new products coming out. So if you think that what they do, what VAC does, they're going to change things up. So there's a lot of new stuff coming out. I mean, we love Kevin. I've known Kevin for a long time, and he's one of the guys I walk up to and say, "How come I've never reviewed any of your gear?" And then he says, "What do you want?" And so, but
you never reviewed anything?
I've never reviewed anything from VAC.
Wow.
But the Acora, the big deal with Acora, though, is
tell me Acora.
The new speakers, which are freaking amazing. So the new speakers are called the Acora, and it's the MRC 5.2D, and the D, of course, stands for Diamond Tweeter. And these are $63,000, and so they're the second from the flagship now. The VRC one, which is famous for being my chocolate chip trip champion.
Yeah.
And you know what? I heard these MRC 5.2Ds, they're $63,000 a pair. They're still made out of granite, but they're just fairly conventional looking square speakers, floor standers. The VRC ones are $218,000 a pair. These are $63,000 a pair. I listened to Chocolate Chip Trip on them again. And you know what? I would have to listen to them side by side to determine the difference, but it was a lot of the VRC for one third of the price, a little more than 1/3 of the price. These are fantastic speakers. These are really good. I mean, I love the VRC ones, but these are much more reasonable and livable, and diamond tweeters, ceramic drivers, and they look fantastic. So that was one of my favorites of the show.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the great speakers and, all the VAC stuff. And of course, playing vinyl on that SAT, that Swedish audio technology turntable, which is 250 grand or something crazy. Every show I have to put them one of my top sounds because that's how good it is. And they always get it right. Yeah. So there's a lot of companies traditionally that know how to put a room together to make it sound great every time.
That's the point, is there's a skill in designing the gear, no doubt. But there's also a skill of doing a great showroom. And this is the combination of both those things that make it magnificent and, as we said earlier, consistent.
Yes.
Next down the line, I think it was Focal.
Oh, Focal name.
Yeah, Focal name. They did just change hands. The ownership changed hand
I know.
of that company. And so, there might be some elements that are yet to be TBD, yet to be determined. But they were here and they were showing and they looked great and they sounded great. They had all the stuff that, they always do a bunch of different things in one big room, which I appreciate. They do that. Usually have a headphone display, all the products that they help distribute on top of that. So
and the sections in there separated from each other. So instead of everything playing at once and it just being a huge noisy thing, they rotate the system. So they do demos. So everybody goes here and they go there. And that's a really good way to show off this gear.
Yeah. Fun room.
And you and I were in that room at the Florida show, and it was a lot of the same stuff, but it was still really fun to go in there and see all the new things. The Focal, the new Muso, Hekla is just amazing one-box stereo system. For the first time, it doesn't sound like it's coming from a single point source. It's got the full imaging and sound staging and everything else for $3,600. And that's one of the greatest one-box audio solutions I've ever seen. And I can't wait to play with one. I might buy one,
Speaking of point source, a speaker that is not the point source, but somewhat similar, Andrew Jones' new speaker.
That thing is beautiful.
Jones and Soretta, new company, Shoot Off. So he's still working with MoFi. That relationship still exists. The point source stuff he created for them, still for sale. But he did a little higher end move with a new investor. So he's part of the company now. He owns part of the company.
His name is in the title.
His name is in the title. And then I believe it is two brothers, with the last name Soretta. And it's a big guy. Do you have the price on it?
I don't, but his speakers, the Source Point speakers, are really, really offer great value. They're very affordable for the sound you get. And so this thing looks more like he really wanted to make a big, fancy speaker. But I think somebody told me, I can't remember.
I think don't quote me. We strive really hard to give you real price points for the podcast, but this price point was not really readily available. I've only seen a room where it was $33,000. Huh?
Right. Well, when you debut a product like that, sometimes the prices aren't set.
Yeah,
I do that a lot. You find that a lot in Munich, where it's like how much. And everybody's first question is how much. Sometimes when they're debuting something, the prices haven't been set, especially in different countries and distribution and all that. So they'll probably still work it out, but it's not going to be like the point source speakers. It's not going to be a very affordable, very high value thing, but it's also going to be an ultimate expression of what this guy can do. And he makes really great speakers. He makes really good, inexpensive speakers. Now we're going to see what he can do with a big design.
Yeah, and he often talks about the compromise of bass in small cabinets. And I think that's part of the design of this, is the cabinet is huge. So he wanted to optimize his bass based on cabinet size, which he often talks about. And you can see it. It's like, you're right, an ultimate expression. It's apparent in the design. They're not small. They're not whatever. He likes big cabinets if he can afford it, and he can afford it in this model. And it is a chunk. It's a chunk.
Big, chunky looking speaker. It'll remind you a little bit of the point sources.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I would say actually there's a lot of connective tissue to the point sources, more than I was expecting for a new brand.
Yeah.
Right.
But then when you kind of step up, especially when you kind of come around the back of it and you see the way that the cabinet is shaped, it's clear that this is a very, very fine and expensive speaker. And if you heard 30-something thousand, that's still a great value for that kind of a speaker. I haven't been able to listen to it because that's the longest lines of the show.
I have something to say on this. I do feel like this is probably by design, but it looks like poor planning. The line to get in there, they have a regular sized room for this. And the line is out the door, and it's not organized. So it's just like everybody pushing in there. It's really hot air in the space, stale air in the, and then there's people blocking the doorway. I feel like Andrew Jones DeBank should have a big room, and it should be organized. He's in there, and it's great, and it's fun, and they love the excitement, and they knew it was going to be big, and the line is so long, and it's so hard. And this thing, you haven't been able to hear it. I haven't been able to hear it either, and I went twice.
And that's kind of the big news of the show. I mean, they have big posters everywhere with Andrew Jones' face on it, saying he's got a new speaker and a new company, and you should come hear it. And everybody said, okay, at once, the same time. I'm hoping tomorrow. So we're doing this on Saturday night. So on Sunday, it's usually a slow day. That's one of my priorities is to finally get in and listen to it.
Yeah. I mean, they do. I would say for the size, they have a unique shape. They look amazing.
Yeah, I think they look amazing too.
Then they are different. I mean, they're very similar to the Source Point, but the size and the scale, you don't see things scale that way. It's like, whoa, it's just pretty wide too. Pretty wide for a speaker. So, yeah, super fun. He did do concentric drivers, is what he's known for. It does have a concentric driver design. Yeah, it's kind of like the show pony for the event.
Yeah, I think so. It's the biggest debut introduction at the show easily.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of stuff, but nothing as splashy as that.
The Rhythm distribution room, which is Luxman and Martin. I'm kind of on a weird Martin kick lately. They've just really been blowing me away how good they are. Martin speakers from Sweden and Jorna cables. And it was the Luxman, and they were debuting the Centennial. It's like the L100 and the D100. It's integrated. The D100 is a DAC, and they're matching, and they were in the system. I love Luxman. This is a step above. It's really good.
Oh, really?
That system. That system sounds really good. So it was right next Audio Group Denmark rooms.
Yeah.
This time it was, wow. It was just really, I really enjoyed it. It was the first room I went to, and it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Luxman. So that's a bold statement. I love it.
I could go through the rest of my life with one of those Luxman integrateds.
Strapped to your back.
Yeah,
you go through life with it on you.
with headphones, yeah. Use the headphone jack.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because my first big review of a big product was a Luxman headphone amplifier, and it blew me away. I was like, damn, this thing's special.
I can beat you. I had a Luxman, is it the R1040 receiver in the 70s. Beautiful receiver, just gorgeous to look at. And that was I used to collect vintage receivers, and that was one of my favorites, just to look at it. So I like Luxman a lot.
Yeah. This episode of the Occasional Podcast is brought to you by AudioQuest. All AudioQuest products, from the company's most modest parts to its most ambitious works of art, are thoughtfully designed to deliver outstanding performance and exceptional value, regardless of price. No matter how little or how much you invest, AudioQuest is made for you. Explore AudioQuest's award-winning cables, power products, and accessories at AudioQuest.com. Tired of audio reviews that sound like they were written by robots? Us too. For the last 15 years, PartTimeAudiophile has been an open revolt against boring. And this year, we're doubling down. We have a brand new look and a brand new name, but the same old attitude. Find us at pt.audio for all your turntable throwdowns and amplifier face-offs. Great sound meets good times at pt.audio. Mark, what was another really great first floor, showy, big boomer? I'm going to call it a big boomer. I just coined that term. TM. Don't even use it, Mark.
All right. Win Audio. Win Audio, I really like. Win is a really great guy. He has some great taste in brands. He's up in Canada, but he's the North American distributor for much of his brands. That's why he does all the American shows, all the U.S. shows, I should say. And so he had his usual stuff. He had the Quran amplification, the Callista digital players, which are the most beautiful digital players out there, and they're really good. Greg Weaver did review one for us, and it was unbelievable. He loved it, and it's called. It looks like Thiel, but it's Thiele. It's German, and they make a really innovative turntable with a very innovative tone arm that kind of pivots. There was this pair of speakers in there. And it was from a company called Avalos Sound, and it's from Spain. And they're gorgeous speakers. They're big, they're curvy, they've got beautiful drivers. The veneers were just exquisite, the wood veneers. And I'm listening to it, and it was like it's a big speaker. They were about $230,000 a pair, but they weren't that kind of speaker where it's the ultimate in clarity and neutrality and everything. Mm-hmm. No, they were very romantic, and they swept me off my feet. I mean, I don't want to say a distinctive sound because that's a bad thing in this industry, but whoa, it was unexpected. They were playing classical music, and I was just melting in my chair. It was so beautiful. That was one of my favorite rooms as well.
Moving on the tower, I think it was maybe the 6th floor. I got a chance to swing by DeVore Fidelity, and unbelievably, not the 096, not the next tier up O'Brien's. He brought out the big guns.
The reference.
I haven't seen him in years. The O reference.
The O reference, 4 boxes.
4 boxes.
Still short.
Yeah. I would say short. Short's appropriate. We're
still waist high, I think.
Waist high, even at that level. And I was like, oh, my God. I asked him if he was doing the 78 thing again, playing a 78 record. And he's like, no, not this time. But you know what I got for you? I got a digital recording of what I'll play for you. So he first played an old 78 digital recording for me, which is pretty generous. I appreciated that. And then he switched to like a modern recording, and it was just like 3-dimensional. The depth went shooting back. I was like, oh, I mean, the 78 thing is cute. The noise floor is good, but the energy is really what's exciting about the 78s to me. And then a modern recording, and I was like, the contrast was beautiful. It was like taking something flat and just adding color and adding depth to it. And I was like, oh, my God. And he played it. He went from the digital to the analog, and it was so sweet. So nice, and I appreciate him taking the time. He was pretty packed in that one too. I mean, I tried. That was like my 3rd go round. I had stopped by 3 times before I got in there, so he was pretty popular. But yeah, just a really sweet sound.
This so far, like I said, we still have some show to go, but this was unexpected. So I always go into the Vinny Rossi room, and so I walk into a room in Vinny's room. And at first, I think I'm looking at the integrated, which I reviewed and we picked as our product of the year in 2024. It's amazing. And so there's these really strange speakers called treble clef speakers.
Yes. New to me.
Well, they're actually just new.
Oh.
They're from Norway. They're kind of an open architecture, very industrial looking, very lots of steel put together, but they're in the shape of a treble clef. Mm-hmm. Especially when you view them from the side. From the front, you're just looking at direct drivers. These are active. What?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to go there. They're the shape of a treble clef?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Treble clef speakers, and they're shaped like a treble clef. You have to look at them there. But you need to go in there anyways. This is so far my best sound of the show.
I'm definitely going in there now.
Oh, my God. So these are from Norway. They're completely active. So Vinny, that wasn't the integrated. That was a preamp. So Vinny's preamp, the Brahma 2 Generation 2 preamp, and these speakers, and they're around $100,000. But when you see them, you're like, okay, yeah, that's a reasonable amount for this kind of. They had some subwoofers, and there was DSP running in between the two, from the main speakers to the subwoofers, so they would balance each other out, so they would work together and communicate with each other. So I'm sitting there, I sit down, I listen, I'm near field, I'm in the front row off to the side. So I've got the right channel to reach out and touch it. It's that close. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening and I'm talking to people. And I just realized it's like I'm sitting here in a weird spot, and yet I'm hearing a fully developed soundstage, and that's evenly balanced. Not perfect, but amazingly so. And I said, they said, yeah, we have a giant sweet spot with these speakers. They're open baffle, and there's side firing drivers, I believe. They're facing each other. The lowest frequency drivers are facing each other, like canceling each other out. I've seen a few of those. And then I sat finally in the sweet spot, and it was just like, oh, even better. But I was impressed. Off to the side in the front, way too close, they were impressive. When I was reviewing the Brahma integrated, they made everything else in the system sound their best. And I'm not saying that these treble clef speakers were benefiting that much from them, but man, the combination was great. I mean, Vinny's always looking for the best speaker.
Yeah.
And I think he's really happy with these ones.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Pre still utilizes the 300B tube in the line stage. So you would somehow...
It's a hybrid design. So if you get the integrated or the power amps, well, the power amps wouldn't have them then. When you get the integrated, it's the Western Electric 300Bs are running the preamp section. And that's done. There's, like Manley has a preamp that uses 300Bs. It's a good design.
Yeah, so it's unique, right? So if you like that 300B Magic, you'll still get it in just the Pre section. Me too. One of the other ones that has a 300B Magic that I just reviewed was the Woo Audio 300B BAL. It was on display for the first time here. I had the first written review of that amp. I felt very proud, and it was a lovely, lovely experience. A bit of a price jump, not necessarily for the category, but for Woo, I think it's like
It's 25,000.
25, 28,000, depending on the options.
Right, yeah.
So it's up there for them, but
in terms of 300B amplifiers,
yeah, exactly.
Because I'm reviewing one right now that's 65,000 for 8 watts a channel, 65,000. But when you hear it, numbers don't even matter anymore.
Yeah,
So,
and he had it running with some that company. I don't know the name. How you say? What is the name of the company that you've heard, Mark? With the circle, with the null.
You know,
voice thing?
Scott said it, oi, and he kind of said like oi,
Oi?
like a Australian oi. It's an O with a slash through it. It actually is so guttural in its pronunciation that I'm not even sure the pronoun. It's just kind of like when you hear them say it, it's just kind of like oi. But it's a no. It's really funny because when you try to put O audio into a search engine, it'll give you anything but these speakers. So, I really like this. I reviewed the Frigo 2s.
Oh, you reviewed a pair.
Yeah, the smallest pair, the ones that don't have the big horns, but it was a $15,000 pair of speakers, and it was just amazing. They go so deep.
Yeah,
They're really good speakers, but I've also heard the big horns, the big horns with the big 15-inch woofers, and they're pretty amazing too.
So yeah, that particular brand that has no name, was very prevalent at the show. They partnered with a lot of places.
They were everywhere. They were in the lobby.
Yeah.
They were in the lobby when you come in, and yeah.
He also had another pair. This is a little unusual for a show that had a little bit of a larger horn on it that I thought was really great too. I don't have that brand off the top of my head, but he had devised an A/B switch, so you could just like flip back and forth, and he was going back and forth with those two. But the thing that I want to emphasize from the review and my experience with it again here is that it has a very articulate high to mid range with that a little what I just feel like is a very pleasing tonality, not overly colored at all. He's not about coloring it. It's crystal clear with a lovely texture. And I think that's really the takeaway for that amp for me. And now I've heard it on 3 different speakers now in controlled settings. And I just very excited about it.
Yeah.
So speaking of the lobby and speaking of chunks, giant speakers.
Lobby dog?
The lobby, and then
we're talking about lobby dogs and blowing chunks.
That was another show. Yeah. Another story, another show. Dutch and Dutch.
Yeah, you were talking about the big Wampin speakers, Andrew Jones speakers, and I kept thinking about when you walk into the hotel and they're right there. And if you know Dutch and Dutch, they're active speakers that have a whole bunch of things. It's like basically it's a whole system in the speakers. And traditionally they have kind of small speakers, and they look like 2-way bookshelf kind of speakers. The 15C, Dutch and Dutch 15C, were those big speakers.
That's what they are. They're big, guys. I mean, huge.
And they're stand mounted boxes.
They were,
and they're freaking gigantic. Yeah,
and the stand mount adds to the almost exaggerated presentation.
I would agree. Yeah.
When they're on stands, they look like a floating.
They're just this big, and you know what? Every time I walk past them, there's a crowd in front of them just listening. Yeah. So they do sound really nice, they do bass really well because it's such a huge cabinet. Of course, they're going to do really good bass, but it's an exciting speaker. I really like it. I like walking past them and just kind of looking at them, and they're just so crazy looking. Like it's just a big giant box.
I feel like it's a really good opener for the show when you walk in the front door and there's something highly entertaining to both look at and hear.
Something different. This is not your normal fi kind of hi-fi.
We're going to have some fun. It says we're going to have some fun, guys. Look how fun this is. Crazy. This is crazy. So what else from the tower do you got, Mark?
Like I said, the treble clef. Audio Note. So the thing about Audio Note was at the Florida show, they put together one of their best systems, at least the best system I've ever seen at a show, and I gave it best sound to show but it was Ongaku. It was like every component was
the Ongaku this year?
No. And I was told back in Florida, I said, because they've been steadily putting together more ambitious systems. You go through the levels, the Audio Note UK levels. And so the one in Florida was like a level 6, Ongaku. It was a $70,000 turntable. It was a $158,000 pair of speakers. It was the A&E Sogons field coils. That system blew me away. I mean, that one rivaled the one at Peter Gavortrup's home. This time, I was told it's like, yeah, it's going to end here because we're bringing out the Otto SE. And the Otto SE is a 10 watt per channel EL34 integrated amplifier from making it for years. This is the new anniversary edition. And I can't remember which anniversary, I want to say 30. 10 watts per channel, and they had it with their smallest speaker, the ANK. And I reviewed the ANJs. I always hear ANEs. The ANKs, and it was one of the better ones, you know, with some silver in it and everything, and they were $6,000. And these little monitors project so much bass and so much size in the room when you do the special corner loading. They had a very, very affordable system this time, instead of close to $1 million from Florida, to a system that was $30,000 complete. And it was just Audio Note. If you love Audio Note, you're going to love this system. It sounded fantastic. And the Otto is $10,000.
Really?
Yeah, it's $10,000, and it's the speakers are $6,000, and then they had digital transport, and they had the table that I reviewed, which is TT2 Deluxe. It was the same one because it had the same cartridge, and it had for $30,000 it was insanely good. So for everybody who thinks that Audio Note makes crazy expensive stuff, it's like up and down the line, it's all really, really good. So Audio Thesis, which is, I had just reviewed the Arasso and Fiorentino Arno 20 loudspeakers. They're two-way floor standers. They're beautifully made. These are made in Italy. This one was in the special red crocodile finish. And so they were gloriously beautiful. And so I was listening to them, and I reviewed them, and these speakers, they do like a little power. And so I remember they didn't work at all with the 300Bs, obviously. It's 87 dB, 8 ohm efficiencies. So it needs a little bit more. But I tried a 22 watt per channel amplifier. Still didn't like it. I got to 35 and went, ooh, there you go. So, and I did the rest of the review with the 35 watts per channel. So Skip of Audio Thesis, he had them with this. It's called HART, H-A-R-T Labs. They're from Greece, and it's a one box integrated, but it also has a streamer and a server and everything. So it's all in one box. So we had that with Wire World. It was a real basic system. HART Labs is a $35,000 integrated all in one box, with a pair of $7,000 speakers, and I think the stands are another $1,500, and they have red crocodile on them too. This had 150 watts per channel. It just kind of convinces me that the Arno 20s, they turn into a different speaker when they have enough power, and they just had massive bass, and they were just taking over the room. It was a really, really good sound from a really simple system. And I'm going to say that's one of the things I'm starting to notice in general is that the high-end, even extreme high-end, is working more toward the simpler systems with less pieces. The YG Vantage Live system that I went crazy for in Florida, a pair of speakers. It's a controller which looks like a preamplifier. It's bel canto, and it's connected with fiber optic cable. Yeah. And you just add a source, and it was amazing. I mean, it even has the DACs in the speakers, so it's active speakers with DACs built-in speaker. $74,000 complete.
Could be just my imagination, but it feels like I'm seeing more active speakers out there in the audiophile space that's traditionally been more about separates. So like I'm always like, yeah, there's an active here, or there's an active option. You know.
Oh, ATC was the first one to do that, but it works. I mean, the argument against it is the fact that you can mix and match and come up with a better combination. But the way I always think about it with an active speaker is that no, they picked the perfect amplifier to go with the speaker. They voiced it together. Chances are it's going to be pretty good. Yeah. The only time when it's not great is if they go with Class D and it's not. Well, I don't want to say Class D in general, but like it should be GAN-FET or something special. Class D is great, but just using ordinary Class D modules in an active speaker isn't that great. But no, you're right. Active speakers they're big. They're becoming popular. It's one less box to deal with, or two.
I like the pairing idea the most. The one less box is good. No, you don't have to spend as much money on cables. All that stuff's good. But when you propose the idea of an amp perfectly matched for the speaker, I'm like, that sounds like damn near romantic to me. Like, hey, yeah, let's do this.
I like integrateds because it's one less interconnect between the amp and the preamp, and that's actually an advantage. And so now with everybody going to active speakers, it's just, it's simplified. I mean, we're talking about lifestyle, and we were just talking last night about how audio is viewed, high-end audio is viewed in Europe And everybody wants the lifestyle. They want the thing that kind of, it doesn't take up a lot of space. It can be hidden, or at least it looks attractive, but it's simple. But these big systems that take over, your room and your house, like mine, that's going away. Everything is becoming simpler. And I kind of like the idea of that, of having everything that's worked. It's already designed together. It's all in one. It makes it easier. And you always have to look at the price. And when you see these kind of systems and you think the price is kind of high, then you should go figure out how much it would cost to get the same thing in a bunch of boxes. It's going to be a lot more money. It's a great way to go.
You got one more for the tower? One more?
I have to mention him every time I see him at a show, but Songer Audio. These are the field coil speakers, high-efficiency speakers. He's now running them with his own integrated amplifier, which is not 2A3. I think it's 300B. Every time I go in this room, it is just I don't want to steal from David Robinson of Positive Feedback, but it's an oasis. You go in that room and you lose track of time and everything.
I said, maybe I don't really want to know. Wait, not that one.
No, not that Oasis. And I'm not a fan of the other Oasis. But it is just like a vacation. I always enjoy. I reviewed a pair of them. It was one of the best speakers. It turned me on to field coil speakers. It's field coil. It's 300Bs. It's low powered, and it doesn't matter how low powered it is because these speakers are so efficient that they only need a couple watts to really go, wow. Yeah. I just keep mentioning him because personally, I love his speakers, and I love walking into that room and hearing that system. And he'll play wild stuff, like he'll play Chocolate Chip Chip for me, and it'll sound really good on this low-powered amplifier. It's different than a lot of the stuff you hear. Fantastic sound. Just hugs you and embraces you. And
I don't know if we talked about this, and maybe we did, but there is a TikTok trend based on the reference track, like our version of the Chocolate Chip Trip reference track that he likes. That's kind of made its way onto the TikTok trend, which is Big Bad John.
Yes.
So you play Big Bad John into the speakers, and the Dutch and Dutch speakers play that. That was the first thing I saw, the first speaker I heard when I came out of the elevator on the first day. And some guy behind me was like, that's the song, Big Bad John. And they were like, oh, it's such a cliche. This is like the international cliche for this Chocolate Chip Trip that we've been like promoting and making people play. And we'll be honest, I heard Chocolate Chip Trip twice randomly. So it's still out there, but
it's all me. I
need
take
to
credit
find
for that.
A new one. Dear listeners, write in and give us the new track that everyone will have to be listening to at the end by Sunday. It starts on Friday.
Okay.
I think part of it is basically that people will hear it and they like it and they're like, okay, now I want to hear it. Do you have any requests? Well, I want to hear this song that I heard before and compare it. So it is like almost a real life viral thing that.
What I noticed at the show is that more and more people are using Pneuma from the same album by Tool. Pneuma is still an 8-9 minute song. But amazingly enough, it's really popular right now, even though the album's been out for 7 years now. Chocolate Chip Trip is a drum solo, so it's not a tune. Pneuma, I think a lot of people think it's the best Tool song ever, the way just talking to people. I'm hearing more and more people play that at shows, which is still amazing. You're still going to hear Danny Carey, the greatest living drummer, do his thing. Well, I'm not going to be able to hum in a 6. That's Schism.
Yeah, that one everybody knows. Okay, there is one thing I need to mention on the podcast because it is so hot right now in the interweb space, and it's this viral kind of band. We don't talk about music that much on the show, but this viral band right now out of Quebec, they play in papier-mâché masks. They are theatrical to the max, and I cannot pronounce anything well in life, but I think it's spelled Angine D. Portrain, ANGINEDEPOITRIN. And it is, to me, very simply summed up as anti-AI music. It's a dude on drums, a looper guy with bass and guitar on the same instrument. Not the first time that's been done, but no. And it just, he puts frets in between the frets to have what people call, and I've never heard this before, but apparently it's a thing, they call it a microtone, and it's basically a half step in between the half step, and he plays on that, so it's very unusual to the ear, because you're not used to hearing like a smaller step than a half step. That's very basic for the world, for the universe. And then we have these half, quarter step, right, in between the notes. And I haven't heard it yet. I should request it. But it's a very interesting thing because the argument is that AI would never be able to make music like this. I would say yet. But right now, it's not in a place to make stuff this weird. And they're going viral, and they're growing big, mostly because from their KEXP show that had a clip that went viral. So just a really interesting thing. Check it out. It is a teeny tiny bit like Tool in the sense that it's like math rock.
Right.
It's math rock. But if you're into Tool, you could check those guys out, and it's very strange and different, and maybe not like what you put on when you want to take a nap, but at the same time, it's different. So check it out and give it a listen. I think it sounds pretty good.
Bringing up that, it's Tool's time signatures. Is I found myself trying to tap my foot along with Numa, and it's probably like an 11-9 time signature or 16-11. Just some... That's their thing, is just almost impossible mathematic time signatures. Try tapping your feet along with some of the Tool songs. It doesn't work that well unless you're really good at time signatures.
I don't know how many musicians listen to this show, but I will say this, exactly what you're talking about, that they did that is unique is there's a riff, okay? And the riff is in a unique time signature. It could be 6/8 or whatever. It sounds a little complicated. It's a complicated, like math rock, where we're talking. And what they do, what you're saying about tapping your foot, is the drummer in this example, in this Quebec band, he will play a time signature over the riff. And then since it's just the two of them, and it's also looped on some songs, he will play when the riff comes to reprise or comes back, he plays it again, but in a different drum beat, in a different time signature. So all of a sudden, the same thing that's looping has a completely different feel to it. Because he's playing in a completely different time signature.
Now I want to hear that now.
It's gnarly.
Yeah.
And also because the looping nature of what he does, because he's using a looper like do the bass drum, it actually is a brilliant move to refresh something that just sounds the same over and over again. And so, yes, again, math rock, because of these times.
Well, Tool does that. Yeah. Tool's changing the time signature every minute or so.
It's not just changing it. They use really hard ones. 4-beat, 4 on the floor, whatever they call it, like think AC/DC Back in Black. That is rock and roll, traditional rock and roll.
Absolutely.
2, 3, 4, bass, snare, whatever.
4/4,
like 1, 2, 3, 4, snare.
Yeah.
And when you deviate from that, it's beautiful and hard to play.
Oh, yeah.
Those songs, I mean, for the drummer, I'm sure the guitarist, it's like, you know the riff, but yeah, it's a cool thing. Just to go back, Parabola is my favorite song.
Okay, Parabola. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Song. All right, now, after all this, we talked about music. It's the first time we've talked about music outside of our reference tracks. I think that's funny. Drum roll. Mark, tell me your nomination for the best sound of Expona 2026.
Vinny Rossi.
What?
With the treble clef speakers.
Oh, God, I got to go now. I got to leave here, go straight there.
And it's a small room upstairs, too. That's the crazy thing. I think it's on the top floor, the 16th floor. If you want an idea how big this show is, there is the 2 main floors that have stuff all over it, and then there's 12 additional floors. And every floor, it isn't just a few rooms. It's up and down the hall is a bunch of rooms. 220 exhibit rooms at this show. And I'm supposed to hit them all.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going
to do it. I'm not that. I can't. I'm getting too old.
I'm one man.
Getting too old for this.
I'm one man. That likes 80s references.
Well, I always say that. I'm only one person. How come you come to my room? Because I'm only one person.
He says, but you guys, you want to know the deep, dark truth? Yours truly is going to be doing a teeny bit of coverage himself. So he's one man plus my 2 articles.
Yes. And Scott Hull, our boss and publisher, is also out there covering rooms. So I'm not doing everything. Well, at Expona. And then we also have Greg Neville here. And so we've got 4 people here. And that traditionally...
That is not to detract this man's work. Mark crushes it. He's the bulk. He does the impossible. He achieves immaculate heights. And we appreciate you deeply, Mark, for all that hard work.
Oh, thanks, Brian.
When you see him at the show, it's a man focused. It's a man with a fire under his bun. And Mark, I appreciate you. The collective, we appreciate you. And
thank you.
And the Occasional Podcast appreciates all your hard work and your input today, my friend.
Thank you.
Godspeed, and we will see you at the next one.
Vienna sausages.
The Occasional Podcast is a production of the Part-Time Audiophile Network, which includes PartTimeAudiophile.com, The Occasional Magazine, the PTA Newsletter, and AudioHead.com. You can stay in touch with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. The Occasional Podcast is produced and hosted by Brian Hunter, executive produced by Scott Hall at PTA Productions. The Occasional Podcast and its original associated music is monitored, mixed, and mastered on the Focal Trio 6 BE Studio monitors. AI songs produced by Udio.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Occasional Podcast on iTunes, Google, Spotify, or wherever your favorite podcasts are downloaded.
Go to Expona. I saw friends from overseas. They're there every year like me. Once you go to Expona, you'll see all the HiFi. Once you go to